And now, join me in welcoming Kana Enomoto, the Director of Brain Health at the renowned McKinsey Health Institute. Kana is a true pioneer in the field, specializing in behavioral and public health and delivery system reform, with over 20 years of experience as a federal executive in mental health and substance use policy. She has consistently achieved remarkable public policy goals and driven tangible programmatic impact. As a global thought leader and accomplished executive, Kana has inspired organizational and social change throughout her career. Her expertise extends to working with various stakeholders including government entities, payers, providers, investors, and not-for-profit organizations to better serve people with, or at risk for mental and substance use disorders. Since joining McKinsey, Kana has co-founded the Center for Societal Benefit through Healthcare to address underinvested areas of health with a focus on behavioral health. Welcome.
I was recently on holiday in Switzerland with my daughter, and this is mostly what I saw. And when I asked her, I finally said, "We're sitting on the shore of Lake Geneva. I think you should put down your phone so we can enjoy the view." She finally looked up, and she said, "Mom, how will anyone know I'm having a good time if I don't have my phone?" And that gets us to the crux of what we're going to talk about now, because there's few things so personal and intimate and essentially human as our mental health. But as technology writ large, social media and AI specifically, come more into the fore in our lives and our existence in our societies, it begs the question, what is the future of mental health? I come from the McKinsey Health Institute, which we started about a year ago, founded on the premise and the conviction that we could add 45 billion more years of human high-quality life to populations across the globe. That's about 6 years per person. If we invest in a four-dimensional approach to health, so mental health, physical health, spiritual health, and social health. And I want to talk to you today, before I get into where is the role of technology, I'm going to talk to you about why do we think that brain health or mental health is so important. First of all, when I say brain health, I'm inclusive of mental, substance use, and neurological disorders. And it's more than the absence of disease, but it's about our well-being and how we can realize our own abilities. How can we cope with the normal stresses of life? How are we productive at school, at work, and then contributing to our families and our communities? And as I mentioned, the 45 billion years of life, that is not only extending life expectancy, but also raising the bar on our productivity and our quality of life so that we are living those last years free of disability and enjoying ourselves, living our best lives, so that we can, what we call, square the curve of human productivity and life expectancy. And we think brain health is essential to this journey, because about 1 in 8 people around the world has a mental or substance use disorder. So that's about 1 billion people. And that means these conditions are ubiquitous. And they are conditions of the young. So about half of mental and substance use disorders appear before the age of 14. 3/4 appear before the age of 24. And across our lifetimes, 1 out of 2 people will experience one of these conditions. And so that means that not only does every single one of us know someone with a mental or substance use disorder, every single one of us either is or loves someone with a mental or substance use disorder. And as many people have noted, in the last few years during COVID, we saw a spike in the prevalence of anxiety and depression and the number of people who were experiencing distress, psychological distress, from the social distancing, from the anxiety and the fear, as well as the change in our life and the overall disruption of our society. So we know that these conditions can range from mild and moderate to severe and disabling. Overall, mental and substance use disorders account for about 150 million disability-adjusted life years lost every year. So these are years lived to premature mortality or morbidity, so illness and disability, absence from the workforce, lack of productivity. In addition, mental and substance use disorders have highly correlated with chronic diseases, other chronic diseases. So asthma, cardiovascular disease, metabolic syndrome, cirrhosis of the liver, etc. And so altogether, these conditions contribute to 333 million disability life years lost every year. These numbers are staggering, and yet all too often, these conditions go unrecognized, unspoken, and untreated. To put it in perspective, we see here that mental and substance use disorders come in second in terms of the amount of disability it caused, come second only to cardiovascular diseases. They actually cause more disability than all the cancers combined. And yet, most countries spend less than 1% of their healthcare budgets on addressing these conditions. And as I mentioned, these are conditions of the young. So Gen Z reports much poorer mental health across most dimensions of health. So about 2 times more Gen Zers report experiencing severe depression and anxiety than baby boomers. 1 out of 3 Gen Zers report poor social health, not having relationships that provide them with social support. And 1 out of 6 Gen Zers feel that their life doesn't have meaning or purpose beyond themselves, so they have poor spiritual health. And people with poor spiritual health, we know, are 2 times more likely to have a mental or substance use disorder. So there's incredible burden. These problems are ubiquitous. How can technology help us, or does technology hurt us? I would say the relationship, as I noted with my daughter, is very complicated. So if you look on the left-hand side, this shows us what people say in terms of, are you spending too much time online? Gen Zers, 3 out of 4 Gen Zers say that they spend too much time online. I think that's to be expected. But what's surprising here is that about half of everybody else, including 44% of baby boomers, say that they also spend too much time online. And as you spend more time online, what we also see is that you have more severe or more frequent levels of anxiety or depression. And while I think the jury is still out on causality, so we don't know for sure that one thing is causing the other, we know that they're highly associated. And so that is enough to get us to stop and think, what is this intersection between technology and mental health or brain health? When we ask people about their use of social media, which is, until AI came around, it was the most important innovation in the last 20 years, we see that the vast majority of people, so the gray and the blue across generations, the vast majority of people think that social media is helpful, if neutral, to their lives. So it helps people with self-expression, with finding a place to belong, and to stay connected to others. But the red part, you see, for Gen Z, is much higher of having a negative impact on people's lives. So about 1 in 4 Gen Zers thinks that social media is harmful to their mental health, with increased self-esteem, poor self-esteem, or self-confidence issues, poor body image, and increasing fear of missing out. My daughter, who just deleted TikTok from her phone, was like, "Mom, it's too negative. Why do all the algorithms make us feel worse about ourselves? Why don't we have algorithms that can make us feel better?" Well, as you know and I know, AI is pretty powerful. Of course it can make us feel better. It's all about how we use it. And here's the challenge for us. So companies like Happify and Ginger and Wobot and Kintsugi, they are using NLP, they use advanced analytics, they're using voice biomarkers and AI to help us identify issues earlier, help us diagnose and treat people in a more precision medicine way, and to create a better, more pleasant, more tailored user experience. But we're still not optimized. And so only 1 out of 5 Gen Zers reported using a digital mental health program. About 1 in 3 used a wellness tool. But what's interesting is that although they're subscale in terms of their deployment, 80% of users said they thought they were helpful. As we see more and more AI coming into play with these things, we think that even more people will think that these experiences are useful. But it's not a straight shot to success, because I was glad we saw the video of the AI doctor in the metaverse. We did a survey of asking people, what are your concerns about the metaverse? And we asked people from all different generations. Guess what their #1 concern about the growth of the metaverse? #1 concern, negative impact on mental health. Next concern, too much time on digital devices. Now, there is then a whole smattering of concerns that involve having interactions that are not good for people's health and well-being, bullying, disinformation, illegal activity. So as technologists and innovators think about the future of mental health and new technologies, they need to be cautious about this complex relationship. Considerations for enabling a positive, holistic approach to health that includes our mental health means creating an accessible and inclusive environment using AI, balancing online and offline experiences, and fostering meaningful connections with people who are both on our online communities and our offline communities. Companies like Apple are already using AI to help people monitor their online use, their digital device use. Be Real is sort of the anti, right? Like it's the anti-social media, the anti-algorithm experience of a reality-based social media that's trying to encourage more authentic connections. And then we have, like I mentioned, we have the Lyras, the Springs, the Moderns, the mental health companies that are trying to use AI to provide a more personalized experience, better monitoring, better measurement, better accuracy of our interventions so that we can reach people earlier and better. In the future, I think the promise of technology and mental health will belong to those who build trust in their products by keeping the safety and the well-being of their members and their consumers at the center, by considering how their products are promoting mental health, physical health, social health, and overall well-being. And so for anyone who is interested in tracking our McKinsey Health Institute journey towards squaring the curve to increasing longevity and improving quality of life, please follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on our website. And I thank all of you for remembering that technology is meant to enhance our lives, not consume it, and that we all play a role in prioritizing brain health in everything that we do. Thank you.